Did you know that the actor playing Jim Hopper in Stranger Things actually lost 60 pounds for the 4th season? So who stands behind this brutal transformation? Let's take a look at it. David Harbour has played the character of Jim Hopper on the show. He didn't have a significant role in the 1st season, but people loved him so much that in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th season, we get to see a lot of him. Also, his romance with Joyce Byers, played by Winona Ryder, has also given a whole new dimension to the show. The whole weight loss dilemma started when we see Jim getting destroyed by the end of season 3, along with the door to the Upside Down. But in reality, he has been captured by Russians and is taken back to a very brutal prison in Russia. We see a whole new dynamic of his character in prison, and it's exactly where his physique drastically changes to. Everyone thought by the end of season 3 that Jim Hopper is no more, but the show actually teased us with a bit of a line in a Russian prison that refers to a mysterious American. We get to realise that there is still hope for Hopper. And as soon as the 4th season of Stranger Things takes off, we realise that Hopper indeed is alive and is serving his time in the Russian prison. David Harbour had some thoughts about his revival, and he said in an interview, he's in this Russian prison, so we get to reinvent him in a sense. He gets to have a rebirth from what he had become. And this rebirth isn't mental but physical too, because we see a weaker and helpless Hopper, unlike the overpowering one we saw back in Hawkins. In the Russian prison, he obviously had to live on bread and mushy gravy, so it was only fair that we saw a difference in his weight too. If the physique of Hopper stayed the same, it wouldn't have made such an impact, and the severity of Russian prisons would have gone unnoticed. David Harbour lost a whopping 60 pounds, and on paper, that actually sounds a lot. And the process of this weight loss doesn't sound super fun either. David said in an interview, "It's amazing. You try to do all these different things, the protein and this and that, and then you just stop eating and you lose weight." So fans are worried that his statement means that he starved himself to get in the shape that we see in Jim Hopper in season 4. However, the creators of the show wanted it to look realistic, and even in prison, people are often malnourished. Fans are raising the question though, why didn't they use special effects instead? But David did everything to get in the perfect shape that his character needed. But it indeed was very brutal, because he said multiple times that even during the shoots he was always hungry and wanted to just eat something, but he kept starving himself. Also, this weight loss transformation didn't have very positive effects on his mental health, and he felt pretty anxious all the time. David said, "I think you'll see it's not very good for me, mentally and nutritionally." Even though David lost a whole lot of weight by not eating and controlling himself, he doesn't recommend it to anyone else, because even he knows how brutal it is and how it can affect a person mentally. Also, he didn't just lose all of this weight for Stranger Things, as he also was part of Black Widow and had to get fit for his role in the new Marvel movie. As soon as season 4 of Stranger Things was released, people were stunned at the transformation of Jim Hopper from having a dad bod to becoming a macho man. And this dad bod narrative got so famous that David said it himself that him having a dad bod doesn't make any sense, because he doesn't even have any children yet. Well, it doesn't really matter if he has a dad bod or a muscular physique, because people are drooling over him from season 1. David actually worked with celebrity trainer Don Saladino to get the kind of body that most people only dream of. He worked really hard and did some pretty hardcore body strength and endurance trainings, and finally we had the body that was perfect for a prisoner. But the 4th season wasn't just all about Hopper's transformation physically. We saw immense growth in him as a person, and his growth is clear. As the season goes on, the character arc of Hopper also gets more visible. David had some thoughts about his character this season. He said in an interview, "Yeah, in a sense, it was a very vulnerable season for me. I think he had to reawaken this deadened piece of him, this warrior piece of him, and therefore had to go through this almost like a snake sheds his skin and leaves behind something." And this statement is right on the money, as we get to see a different face of Hopper this season. If we look at Jim Hopper from the 1st season of Stranger Things, he wasn't very tolerant and didn't have a will to live either. But in the 2nd season, we get to see him grow as a person and have this bond with Joyce Byers, played by Winona. Their duo got so famous that when they kissed in the 4th season, it was like a huge accomplishment after all that build-up. We also get to see Jim as a very insecure and possessive father in Season 3, where he borderline threatened Mike to stay away from Elle. It was when we realised that Jim Hopper was actually a softie from the inside. Talking about softie, he did want to take Joyce on a date and even asked her several times, but things just didn't go their way. But fans are still shipping the duo, so the bond of Jim and Joyce grew stronger, and so did the evil in Hawkins. But no matter what, Jim stayed right by Joyce's side and protected everyone in Hawkins. So much so that he ended up sacrificing himself in the last episode of Season 3. Everyone thought that this was it for the character, but the writers had something else in mind, and they just didn't want to end a loved character without giving him a proper arc. Well, Jim has gone through a lot with his daughter and wife gone so early, and him living all on his own. He didn't have anyone to take care of him, and he thrived on Eggos. It was also why his weight is quite a lot. It's pretty normal for someone who lives alone and either eats junk food or a whole lot of carbs. Even when he was living with Elle, he survived on Eggos with a lot of maple syrup and whipped cream. But as soon as he went to the Russian prison, things changed. He had to eat a small piece of bread with a mushy soup just so he had enough energy to work. And when talking about work, it was really brutal too, as the prisoners had to do difficult jobs. This weight loss is also what made things more believable, and that's also why we end up empathizing with his character. Also, during his time in the prison, he realizes that he's the curse, and whoever he loves, he destroys. This is what David Harbour says about the character. He's a cursed man, and he himself feels like he is the curse. So to truly defeat the upside-down monster and truly survive Hawkins, or be the hero they need him to be, he has to, cleanse that. David also said that this journey has been pretty epic because in the beginning, Jim Hopper didn't really want to find Will because of the goodness of his heart, but only to prove himself right. It was his ego speaking, and he was pretty selfish back then. But throughout the seasons, we've seen him growing into this selfless person who even sacrificed his own life to save his town. It really is a great experience to see Jim turn into a person of his own, and his weight loss transformation also is a great part of it. In addition to all of this, David often talks about his character in the 4th season of Stranger Things and the fact that how dark and traumatic his experience has been. He said in an interview, "I really wanted you to see a different layer of him. The layer without skin, who really is the beaten man." And there's no sort of ironic joy in it. There's no Harrison Ford anymore. It's just being stripped away from this brutal environment. And we actually got to see this extremely vulnerable Jim Hopper who isn't thinking about himself, even when he's in prison. He constantly thinks about Joyce, whose life he has put in danger by hinting to her through a message that he's still alive. But his character arc is yet to be completed, as Jim Hopper is back in Hawkins and Vecna has pretty much captured the town by opening a gate to the Upside Down. It wouldn't be wrong to assume that Jim Hopper will emerge as a hero from the 5th season of Stranger Things, and Jim and Joyce might finally end up together. Well, David Harbour indeed is having a lot of fun playing his fan-favourite character, except for the weight loss part. We've already established that it was pretty brutal and didn't end up well for him either. What are your thoughts about this unbelievable transformation of David Harbour from Stranger Things Season 4? Tell us in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye guys!